I call these alarms the soundtrack of chaos.
They call this a once-in-a-thousand-year flood, but many Vermonters have seen a flood like this at least twice in their lifetime.
It's a shit show. It hasn't really been this bad since Irene.
But this, by all accounts and records, was the worst flood to hit the Green Mountain State since 1927.
I have footage from the other day where I can see the water point up to halfway up our basement windows, but you can see in this photo that you've well surpassed that. And this is actually, I believe, after the water started to recede.
Yeah, because you can see right there
the high water line.
The high water line. Wow. Communities cut off by flooded roads or roads that, well, they just don't exist anymore. Nowhere suffering more than the capital of Montpelier. It sat under several feet of water.
That's our basement. Whoa.
Despite a long history of floods, many say they barely had any warning about this one.
It's crazy. I never thought that this would really be a concern here.
Communities changed in a flash from the flooding that'll impact lives and livelihoods for years to come.
As Vermont, we rely so much on tourism, so it's really gonna be an interesting couple weeks after this, seeing just like how we bounce back from it.
I'm Jonathan Pedramala, along with WXJZ. We risk washed out and flooded roads to document and tell the story better than any network can. Please subscribe, and after you finish watching this short documentary, give the video a like and tell me what you thought of it in the comments.
You can see people pumping out their homes, pumping out their businesses, pumping out their basements. And you can also probably hear downtown Montpelier, Vermont is in the middle of a major natural disaster. This river flooding continues to rise here in downtown. Between me and the Capitol, which is right down the road here, there's at least 6 to 8 feet of water. This is the second highest this river's ever risen on record. And believe it or not, this could all get worse. There's a reservoir just upstream, and officials are worried that dam could burst. People are evacuating.
My cat, my computer, and then some underwear and clothes, and then I moved a lot of like papers up to the top floor, and just hope that if we do have flooding, it doesn't go that high. But so I did try to get as much out of the first floor, upstairs, and also stuff up high. So let's see.
What's the concern right now for you? The biggest concern we were just talking about?
My house flooding. I've never had this. It's never been this like this ever, because I lived here for almost over 25 years. But anyway.
Is it that reservoir?
Is it the reservoir?
That must be.
My basement has some water, but it's the reservoir that I felt that I needed to get out, because they said if it does break, it's over.
Here's another problem. This is Wrightsville Reservoir. It's above Montpelier, and it is very close to going over the dam. Officials even admit they don't know exactly what those impacts would be, but it's not likely to be anything good. Already the Winooski River is above what was brought by Tropical Storm Irene. They are very concerned that if this water from the reservoir were to combine with what already is coming down the river, it could be even more catastrophic.
Yeah, this is the marker from the 1927 flood. As you can see, we're on the first floor now, so it was a lot worse.
If it got to the level of 1927, which is right over your shoulder,
Yeah.
how much worse would it have been? It's already bad.
Yeah, I mean, so it would have been, we would have had a catastrophic collection loss, and we would have been facing for a couple of things. So when you talk about that much moisture in with the books on the library's first floor, there's a potential for mold and mildew and contamination. Water wicks through books incredibly fast and can create a lot of damage and hazards, health hazards. So we would have been facing a lot, 35,000 books worth of collection loss that we would have had to have replaced.
The bad news is that in our basement, which you can't really get to, but we'll get as close as we can, our basement here is completely full of water. So.
And what did we have in the basement?
Well, We had our book sale, which is a great source of revenue for us, but more importantly, we have all of our building systems down here. So we're looking at likely replacing our electrical system, a lot of plumbing, hot water heater, heat controls, elevator. There's a lot. All the major building systems are here in the basement. So we're expecting that we're going to have to be closed for several weeks and get a lot of systems repaired. You can smell, and we can smell that there's oil that has clearly leaked down here in the basement that will need to be remediated. So.
And you mentioned thousands of books that you were trying to sell as a fundraiser. Yeah. How many books or thousands?
I don't know, but I can tell you that we had actually just stopped accepting donations because we were full to the brim of books. We had closets full that we hadn't even been able to put out. But I would say, easily 5,000 books.
As bad as this looks, amazingly, it's been worse, but just one time before.
That's an easy one. It says the flood of 1927.
1927. They're shaking. This is part of the Supreme Court, the contesting of this will and whatnot. So these are some of the original documents, and you can see these are already water damaged.
Yeah, I see the water damage there already.
Because these predate 1927. There's 1927, and this is the library building right there.
So you can just see how it definitely got above the first level.
Exactly, yeah. So I have footage from the other day where I can see the water point up to halfway up our basement windows, but you can see in this photo that you've well surpassed that, and this is actually I believe after the water started to recede.
Yeah, because you can see right there
the high water line.
The high water line. Wow.
Yeah. God. It's the opening of the building.
When was the last time you looked at these photos?
I haul them out on the anniversary of the flood every year and make a display. So last November.
There you go.
And it was Claire Gilbertson. She works for the Historical Society now. I believe she's the one that actually had these enlarged and created for display.
So what date was this?
This was November, I believe, 3rd to the 5th of 1927. So being November, one of the things, the good and the bad, right now it's very hot, and it's expected to be hot and humid for the next several days, and we're expected to get more rain, which is terrible conditions for growing mold when you have water damage. But in 1927, part of what led to a massive loss of life, in addition to there not being the communications that we have now, but that water was cold. If you don't go in the water in November in Vermont, so all of this water that happened in this catastrophic flood was freezing cold, and you couldn't swim through it, you couldn't wade through it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I do see, I don't know if you do, but I see a lot of similarities in some of these photos of what we just experienced.
Yeah, there are, yeah. Here's 92 flood photos. I haven't digitized any of these yet. But so this was the library basement in 1992. Actually, I should get these out and show Dan. So this flood was in March that year. So it was due to an ice dam on the river. That's the chair of I think he was the chair of the trustees at that time, canoeing up to the front steps. Here's the building across the street. There's the church across the street. There's the Bethany Church, which they're pumping out right now.
That's right next door.
It's right next door, yeah. We're surrounded by churches. There's City Hall in 1992, the back of City Hall. Let's see, some of this is just recovery efforts in the library. If I have any, what else I have that are really good ones. Abishon Hardware is still there. That's Main Street in 1992. Likewise. Same thing, all of the mud and all of the waiting for the water to recede. All of this looks very familiar, unfortunately.
It really does.
Yeah. And again, a lot of these businesses are still here. This building right there, this is Notions now, and Charlie O's, local, a lovely local bar. They'll chuckle when they hear me call it lovely, if they hear it. Yeah, City Hall. Again, that's City Hall. That's the church. That's the Catholic Church. So yeah, the firemen down in our basement. And there we are getting pumped out in March of 1992.
So I think what's fascinating is each flood you guys have had that are major are different. So
Yeah.
the ice dam,
Yep.
the November flood
27 was rain.
It was rain.
That was a rain
So it
event
was similar
also.
to this,
Yeah.
but just
a
different.
different time of year.
And then Irene was a tropical system.
Irene was a tropical storm. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and that was August, so that was probably in some ways that was probably the most similar, but the flooding this time was worse than Irene in Montpelier, not in other parts.
With a clear water line close to 6 feet on the first floor, showing that yes, floodwater can at least get this high, it's not as simple as you might think of putting the sensitive or irreplaceable documents upstairs.
Until we can do some more climate change remediation and address cooling in the building and further address climate control in the building, I would hesitate to move those too high. Like I wouldn't move them to our attic because excessive heat, humidity, excessive dryness, all of that can impact particularly archival materials. So you really want to keep them as steady as possible, which is why right now they're on the first floor.
The line.
Yeah. Sorry.
You can see it on that wall, that line.
So I assume you're just trying to take everything you can that wasn't wet away.
Yeah, we're taking dry stuff, and because we sell second-hand items, we can try to salvage as much as we can.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes.
You guys are, what's your main mission today then? Just
to kind of help out. I mean, my boss, I mean, it's just to help. It's horrible. It's like the flood itself was bad, but now that like it's going to take a really long time for everything to be repaired, and you know, a lot of people aren't going to be able to work for a while, and a lot of businesses are, I mean, even if insurance does cover a lot of stuff, it's going to be really hard for people to recover.
I just hope that all businesses have insurance and they can, you know, open back up and hopefully get things up and running in the next few months.
I don't want to see anyone shut down. I mean, we love all the businesses in town. We stop in everywhere. We talk to the owners, and everyone's so wonderful, and I don't want anything to have to get shut down.
I always say it's honestly sometimes the storm's the easy part, it's the recovery that's the hard part.
Exactly. You know, it's just going to be in a long and expensive cleanup.
So it's pretty incredible. You can see how low the river is now. And it's been a false sense of security, especially for business owners and residents that have moved here within the last few years. They didn't realize what exactly a flash flood here in Montpelier would look like. They weren't here 12 years ago, for instance, for Irene, and definitely not 1927 or even the 92 ice dam. And now they're going to deal with the consequences. Consequences like not having insurance.
Well, the crazy thing was just how fast the water rose. And the morning, I want to say Monday morning, the 10th, the basement was dry, and we opened for lunch. And you know, we knew there was rain, we knew there was a flood warning, but we didn't think it was this big of a deal. I had no idea it could get that high that fast. It just rained all day. It wasn't a hurricane. There was warnings sent out, but I didn't know how to translate that. So we opened. Our employees felt safe. We were fine. But then the water started rising in the basement, and we had to turn off everything and leave, thinking we'll just hunker down and come back the next morning. But you know, it's a disaster, and we had water up to halfway up the ceiling or the walls, and everything's just trash. You can check it out. We're just gutting this place and throwing everything in the garbage.
And like I said, you lived along the river, but your business is, but you didn't realize that this kind of a flood could come from.
No idea. We're on the river. We were aware we're in the flood zone, but it happened so fast, and there really wasn't a lot of direction. I'm not complaining, but it's like if we would have known this was even possible, we would have shut down 2 days prior and emptied this place.
But like I said, there was no hurricane. There was no tropical storm. It was just a rainstorm.
It just rained all day, and then the water kept coming. It was unbelievable. You see the water lines here. The water. This was underwater. This is the water line, and everything was floating in the kitchen. The floor is bowed.
All these potatoes.
Those are
They're all
trash.
underwater.
Yep. You know, all this equipment was underwater. This we just put upright, but this was tipped over, and everything is trash in here. You know, we did not prepare for this at all. Everything is covered in mud. This oven was up to here with water. You could tell by just where the mud is rested, and then in here is a disaster. We've just ordered and filled this cooler up because we have a festival coming up, and everything is just garbage because this has been at 80 degrees for 2 days. This is thousands and thousands of dollars worth of food. This is what we haven't ditched already because I haven't gotten here yet.
So again, this shows how unprepared you were, because you wouldn't have ordered food, you would have gotten stuff out. I mean,
had no idea. I literally was here the day of the flood, open for business until 1 p.m.
No alerts from the government saying, hey, there's going to be some catastrophic
There
flooding?
was alerts. There was like, you know, but it was hard to translate. Like we got alerts, oh, this is going to be at 12 feet, this is going to be at 15 feet, but nothing like, what does that mean to me? Like, should I close? Should I, you know, they said put everything up high, and you know, there was a lot of opinions. Like some people said, well, the water's not going to get that high. Just close it up and put everything up as high as you can and go. But we needed to clear this out and shut everything down. That was the surprising thing. I mean, and it could have been worse. I mean, if that dam breached or
overtopped,
this would have been like the water levels were up here. So.
And then now the tough part comes, which is the recovery. Do you ever imagine, or do you hope to reopen, or?
Well, how do I reopen? I mean, and then what? Just wait for the next one? I don't know. I really don't. I'm gonna get flood insurance if I can afford it.
Did you have insurance for this time?
We do not have flood insurance, which, you know, and I'm not mad at anybody, but I wish I would have known what happened. We've only been here 5 years, so I wish I would have known what could have happened.
Yeah.
Because I would have done flood insurance had I seen pictures.
Saved some of the plastic, and then.
So it's just it's a
2012
feeling.
Well,
it has. I mean, it's gut-wrenching. This is your life.
Yeah, well, we just felt like we were recovering after the pandemic, and we were just hitting our stride.
Do you need one?
You know, we have 7 employees now. We're open 6 days a week, and busy, and really good response from the community, and it felt great, like for the first time in a while. And now this, and it's just mentally and draining. Like, I don't know what to do. We're just gonna take it day by day and clean up.
You know what, this is meat.
And
yeah, compost things.
so I don't know.